Go Go Gadget Podcast.
And we're here! Whoa! Whoa, Go Go Gadget. What a good podcast you're about to listen to, everyone. Welcome!
Welcome to Classic Movie Banter, that podcast where myself, one Detective Brenton, and that other guy, Detective Nathan, we review movies that are 20 years or older, which you guessed it, makes them classics, classic movies. That's what we talk about here.
The old ones.
Tell you, the oldies, and we tell you whether they're oldies but goodies, or they're just oldies and old and should probably pass on.
Of course. You know, we talk about all the greats. We talk about your Godfathers, your Deliverances, your bloody Bridge Over River Choirs, and alongside that canon, Brenton.
We'll even talk about your bloody Emerald City, we will. We'll talk about
bloody
that
know
as well.
It on his head. A 61-year-old doing a podcast, trying to get by. We're talking about our own profession, Brenton. We're putting on our detective hats and we're talking about Inspector Gadget, aren't we?
Oh, bitches, that's right.
Brenton, we're toying with our 20-year rule. We're bloody dancing on the rope because we're celebrating the 20-year anniversary of Inspector Gadget. July 23, this landmark film was released to an unsuspecting audience in 1999. And since then, what a staple of cinema it's become. I don't think you can walk down a street these days, Brenton, without someone screaming at you, Inspector Gadget. Frankly, it's annoying in my opinion.
Yeah, look, it needs to stop, guys. Whoever keeps doing that just needs to stop because my gadgets start going and then I can't stop them.
Could you imagine just walking down the street, you see some like homeless drunk fucker just like stumbling about. He's like, Go Go Gadget. I'm like, wow, the Inspector Gadget's really changed over the years, hasn't he? It's like, keep walking, Billy. Like,
man, I have a question for you.
Yes?
Could you just pitch me this movie?
I thought you were about to like lean into me with your fingers like, can you pinch me this movie? I'm like, the way you're holding up your hand, I'll pinch you this movie.
Nathan, settle down. That segment's coming in 2 weeks. We did no spoilers.
Yeah.
No spoilers here.
A brand new segment for our listeners. Pinch me this movie. You just walk into like a Hollywood studio. Some exec is just like going to the director, just pinching him. He's like, make my movie, and the guy's like, ow, stop it. It's like, I'll stop if you give me millions. It's like, fine.
Do you think that's what happened here? I'll let you pitch.
All right, well, welcome. Thank you for letting me in to your Hollywood office, Mr. Respectable Movie Producer Brenton.
You're welcome. You have a couple minutes, so hurry the fuck up.
Shit, all right. Hello, I am apparently creative, allegedly creative, and I have an idea for you. Do you know the beloved television cartoon Inspector Gadget?
Oh, that sparks a wee memory.
Oh boy, doesn't it? It's about a normal bloke who works as a security guard in, I don't know, some period of time in some random city. Kind of inconspicuous. And he's like, oh, you know what? I want to be a police officer. So he attempts to be a police officer and he fucks it up, Brenton, like beautifully. And so once he fucks it up, he is given the gifts of gadgets, Brenton. Now I want you to imagine the human body, but instead of like regular orifices. What's that word? Orifices? That's it. Imagine instead of that, it's bloody gadgets. Gadgets popping out of your left, right, center.
Can you give a few examples of some gadgets just to get my mind working? You know what I'm saying?
To be an A-class detective, you need to fill him out with all the gadgets. I'm talking your bloody toothpaste gadget. I'm talking your bloody comb gadget. You know what? Now I think about it, it's mostly grooming gadgets.
Well, you know what? You're getting my creative juices flowing and my imagination rearing with what you're saying. I think I'm going to give you lots and lots of money to make this movie, but I have a question.
Yes.
Who would you cast as the titular Inspector Gadget?
You know what? There have been a lot of names thrown around for this bloody role. You know, lots and lots of names we could talk about who could take on this iconic part. You know, we could do bloody Tom Hanks. We could do Robin Williams. We could do Steve Martin. We could do Chevy Chase. But you know who I think actually would be best out of all of them?
Oh, who? Who?
Have you seen The Producers in the year 2005?
I mean, that hasn't happened yet, but sure, I can foresee it.
All right, the main guy from that, Matthew Broderick. Let's pinch him, put him in this bloody Disney movie, and let's make a really kid-friendly version of Inspector Gadget. And then that's just the man, because this man's got some bloody side characters, mate. He's got his daughter, Penny, who goes with him on missions. He's got a bloody dog, who's just there. He's got a car, Brenton, that's we'll get to the car, and then he's also got a love interest, this other scientist. So you got this ragtag team, trying to figure out a crime and stop a bad bloke called Claw.
Ah, yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said, my senses are a-tingling, and I think I want to give you this money. Just to quickly check in.
At it as a
just last thing. I think it would work better than instead of Inspector Gadget's daughter joining him on the missions, maybe his niece. I don't know. I feel like
right.
Yeah. I feel like that might be a bit. I've got to.
That's right. For some reason, yeah, that's right. That way he could actually have a love interest without the kid being like, "Oh wait, what about my dead mother?" It's like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have some, my niece and I, for example, don't have a very good relationship, and I feel like I could show her this movie and show her the ways that we could connect. Yeah.
Yeah. In the same way people turn to Guardians of the Galaxy, for that mother to son and father son, connectivity.
Totally.
Inspector Gadget's for obviously the uncles and the nieces, that exist in the world. This is
Nathan,
their movie.
here's the check. Go make the movie. I expect a mighty profit from this one.
Oh mate, you just wait and see. And
so
Brenton, that's the pitch.
Good pitch. Well done. So Nathan.
Yes.
I'm getting straight into this.
Yes.
Is Inspector Gadget the best film ever made?
I wish it was, Brenton. I go to sleep and I bloody go on. I sit by the bed on my knees and I pray to the Lord above that this movie would be the best movie of all time. I wish it was, Brenton.
And how was your faith rewarded?
I ask myself that every day. My faith was not rewarded with the best movie ever made. It might be the stupidest, and we've seen a lot of stupid movies. It's definitely one of the most insane movies I think I've seen in a while, Brenton. And it's funny because you and I have seen this before, haven't we?
We have. I can't remember the last time I saw it. I saw it many, many, many years ago.
Yeah, when we were young little tykes running about. And, we as a child, I bloody loved this movie. It was a staple of the childhood. I was like, I want to be Inspector Gadget. I want to bloody Go Gadget chainsaw arm and that kind of shit. And I'm sure you did too. And so we're now older men, Brent, and we're adults. And we're looking back on this, maybe with nostalgia goggles, but where do you sit on this, mate?
Okay, so just let me put on my fedora. For our listeners at home, I've literally got a fedora.
You're
on my
literally
head.
wearing a Go Go Gadget cap. It's like,
I am.
Are you Matthew Broderick?
Hey! Let's not put ideas in the audience's head. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
I'm undercover.
It'd be a great review. We're reviewing this because you're actually Matthew Broderick.
I've been undercover this whole time. Even worked out this wonderful Australian accent.
Here we go.
So here we go. Nathan, I'm with you. I have fond memories of this movie for some reason. I remember basically all the scenes in it, but like a memory that's faded,
like a wild dream.
Exactly, like a memory that's faded. That you remember it when you're watching it again, and you remember the good memories associated with that memory. But when you watch it and you expect to have that same feeling, and you don't have that same feeling because it's a pile of shit. It does a lot for your confidence, and especially your confidence in how you reviewed movies when you were around 5 years old. Nathan, this movie's a piece of shit. In saying that, it is kind of an enjoyable piece of shit because it's not too long, but it starts to feel long at the same time.
Doesn't it? It's almost like taking a shit yourself.
Yes. If you enjoy taking shits, you might enjoy this movie.
When you stand up off the toilet and you're like, that's good to get out of my system,
Exactly.
That's kind of what you'll feel after finishing Inspector Gadget.
Pop a squat, take a dump. If you enjoy it, pop on Inspector Gadget.
I'm sure they'll put that on the DVD cover, won't they, Brenton? Straight from CMB.
Hey, I'd also like to say, in saying all of that I think this might be, and I mean this sincerely, I think this could possibly be the worst screenplay that has ever appeared in a review on this podcast. I think this is the worst.
And that's including the non-existent screenplay that Cats had.
Cats. And you know what? Great minds think alike, because I thought straight to Cats. I was like, Cats is in consideration.
It's our go-to punching bag.
But as much as you want to fucking shit on Cats, all of the lyrics in that musical are based on T.S. Eliot's poems.
So is Inspector Gadget, Brenton. Didn't you notice?
Fuck off. No, but at least you have T.S. Eliot, and they're fun, kind of like, I guess, like if you read the poems themselves without watching the musical, like you can still read those poems and appreciate, the techniques on display, and they're pretty, it's good writing, it's cute, it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
The movie, which go watch that episode, people, if you haven't. Oh, I should say, listen.
Don't
to
watch
that
the
episode.
movie, just listen to the episode.
Yeah, look. Take a dump, all right. Then listen to our review of Cats, and if you like our review of Cats, then consider watching Inspector Gadget. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just trying to imagine someone who listens to the podcast just like in their bathroom, like with their housemates, and a housemate walks past their bathroom and they hear your and my voices exiting the bathroom, and in between like our chats you hear, "Ugh," and yeah. Of like the shit hitting the water. It's like, ooh.
Nathan, what would be funny? What would be even better, ladies and gentlemen, would if you did these 3 activities all at the same time. Then you're in for a wild night. That's what I'll say to that.
So speaking of shit, Inspector Gadget. It's look, you're right. It's a pretty shit screenplay. Like it's a bad movie. It is a bad movie. There are good things in this movie. There is fun to be had in this movie, and like I'll focus on the good before I focus on the bad. I feel like that's a nice way we can do it. Let's compliment sandwich this bitch, Brenton, before we we cut that cord. So let's talk about the good. Matthew Broderick. What do you think of his performance as Inspector Gadget?
Bizarre.
It is bizarre, isn't it? Like I kind of like it. I think I don't know what else he could have done with this script. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, you know what? He's kind of got that whole all-American, like the everyday man going, but at the same time, he's also got a bit of... I can relate him to Jamie Foxx's interpretation of fucking Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, of like this goofy kind of weird thing that's kind of...
like humans like this just don't exist.
Exactly. It's bizarre.
It's like the screenwriter has never met a human in real life. It's like, I swear the only notes he had was just like, Matthew Broderick, make weird faces, and that's all he had.
It's kind of like watching... It's one of those performances that's like watching a train which has no passengers, no drivers. There's just... It's a drone. And you watch that train just go off the rails and then fall off a mountainside and down a cliff before landing in a river. And then it kind of sinks to the bottom of that river. And then like an avalanche kind of happens where it's fallen off the mountain, and these huge boulders kind of come down, and they fall into the river as well, and then they kind of like crush the train on the riverbed. But that, and all of that is happening in a David Attenborough style documentary with just slow motion. Like it goes for like 7 hours, like as this happens, God. and your eyes are kind of glued to the thing, like seeing this disaster unfold. And you don't really want to watch it because you've got better things to do. But at the same time, you can't look away because there's just something so interesting about destruction.
Like, it is interesting, isn't it? I attest, Brenton, that the directing in this is interesting. It is very interesting.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like it reminds me a little bit of Sam Raimi. You got lots of, it's got that like early 2000s energy. There's lots of zooms, there's lots of like sound effects to literally every fucking action in this movie. There's like a and a whew and a poink. Like it's...
I can get around all that. I can get around the editing choices. I get what you're saying. There's some life, there's some vibrancy. It's cartoonish in that sense. What I can't get around is these bloody scene changes with these weird
like these like
animations.
90s like what is it, 3D models? Like,
oh boy, it's terrible. Like the opening credits to this film, like,
oh my god,
are just an absolute train wreck. Like,
because it plays the iconic music, and you're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Inspector Gadget. But it's like, it's like a horrible CGI.
But it's terrible.
Speaking of horrible CGI, good god, the special effects.
Good lord, we've come a long way.
We're so sorry, bloody. What was it? Spellbound. We're so sorry, Spellbound, for
mate
for shitting on your skiing scenes. Like,
Thank goodness, honestly, it's movies like this that make me go, thank goodness that Lord of the Rings happened, so that like we could kind of like
so the general public are like, no, there's good shit being made.
Exactly, and we kind of then it pushed that technology far enough forward that films could start utilizing it in a way that wasn't deplorable.
Oh my goodness.
There's some shots in this film using special effects and CGI that are just horrid. But at the same time, I appreciate at the same time that when the film sticks to those special effects and you see some really cool stuff occasionally.
Like the practical cool effects I thought were kind of fun. Like I get around that. But like, yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the original Scooby-Doo film. Like how it's a little bit hyper silly. It's not really real. Like it kind of feels like a 90s Batman movie. You know, like Batman and Robin. That's probably the closest thing I can parallel this to. Like
definitely, but better. I will say, but better.
Oh, definitely better. Oh, is this better than Batman and Robin? I mean, they're both horseshit.
I would say, look, I would say in terms of execution, it's probably better. Like from a direction standpoint, from a technical standpoint, maybe from a screenplay perspective. Like the plot is just so terrible in this film.
It's so thin. There's no plot. Like there's literally no plot. Like the whole once he becomes Inspector Gadget, he knows exactly what to do. There's no detective work. There's maybe one little mystery he needs to solve that he immediately gets. Like,
and it's one of those films as well that bar one character, every single character in this film is insane. They don't exist in real life.
Speaking of bloody insane, what the fuck is Rupert Everett's performance in this movie?
Rupert Everett's performance in this movie might be my favorite thing in this movie.
This is Jared Leto level shit. Like, this is like...
Oh, I don't know.
It's pretty
I don't know
good.
If we can go
it's
that
pretty
far.
great. It's like Eddie Redmayne kind of like go level shit. You know
that's the playing field we're on here.
Oh yeah,
and it's
incredible,
glorious,
and
I'm
so glad it exists because it's like I'm looking at him going, "You're Prince Charming, and this is the shit you're doing right now." It's like he's just. Or especially as he gets more towards the end of the movie and you kind of have him face off with Inspector Gadget, he goes batshit crazy out of nowhere. Like he kind of goes from like snarky like evil businessman to like fucking bonkers like bloody Joker level kind of stuff. It's crazy. And I love it, Brenton. I love his performance. I don't care how shit it is.
I do. It's probably my favorite performance in this film. But at the same time, it points out a glaring fact that like all the performances in this film aren't consistent. And I just want to point out the side characters. And I don't mean I don't mean like the supporting cast. I mean like the side characters. The characters such as the henchman.
They all had to have a little bit of a kumbaya around the fire to make this shit blow up.
The characters such as the henchman, the characters such as the mayor, the characters such as like the scientist that is working for Claw, and the father of I think her name's Barbara, isn't it?
Yeah.
Her father,
one who actually puts all this together.
These characters are just so strange, and because they're on this playing field dealing with all this insanity, and they're trying to match it, it just comes off across as just, I don't know, like. I can't even describe it. It's just so out of place in a film that is already out of place.
You know you fucked up when you're in this hyper-real world and even the hyper-real characters feel out of place.
Yeah,
out of all of them, the one I want to really narrow on is the bloody mayor. Because she is just fucking cuckoo. I don't know what's going on with her because you meet her. By the way, you can spoil this movie, and so I will say some things for the spoilers. But
definitely,
I remember when you meet her and Gadget's going through the transformation, and she comes out of nowhere, and she's so hyperactive, and she's kind of checking on how things are going, with the millions of dollars they spent on this program, and the whole film she's acting as though she's like some uptight primary school teacher who has to deal with 80 kids at once, and you can't ask her about anything. She has to get shit done. And she's like, well, I guess we're going to have to do this, and maybe we'll do that. She reminds me of the bloody sheep from Zootopia. You know the sheep mayor there?
I feel like that's a horrid comparison because at least the sheep from Zootopia was actually a character and had some consistency. The mayor's just...
but that little bit of a uptight kind of thing. It reminded me a little bit of that.
I'm not going to blame the actor at the same time. I'm
going to blame the actor. Like, no matter how those lines were written.
No. Like if you're in this in a scene with Rupert Everett and Matthew Broderick that are literally they're having like a seizure in front of you. They're going insane.
These are reputable actors.
They've said action and they're just going nuts. And you're expected to
You're
act
saying it's
alongside
contagious.
that. You've got a director that's probably saying they're just being like, just fucking go nuts, the kids will love it. And then and then they've said action, and you're meant to match that, earn your paycheck, and obviously, hopefully, have a career after this film, and hopefully have something that you can put proud on. No, my point is that like it comes across as an actor that's so desperate for some sense of meaning with what they're doing.
She's just like asking for like some vaulted shots on the side of the soundstage. Just like
they're reaching for that final apple in the barrel. You know what I mean? And they're just like she's trying to get it, and then she pulls and then what's funny is once this film was released, she like pulled the apple out, and it was like a core. Someone had already eaten it. And she was like, and she was gone by that point. She was like, oh shit.
And you look at her, Brenton, and you see this performance, and you're like, you are so batshit insane. I remember when I first saw her and Inspector Gadget wakes up and the mayor's there and he wakes up in the hospital. I really wish that scene had just perfectly mirrored the Doc Ock scene of waking up in Spider-Man 2.
Oh my god, yeah, that would be cool.
Could you imagine because he wakes up and he kind of freaks out, he's got all these gadgets in him. I really wish it just segued into hard horror. Like the gadgets just go apeshit and they viscerally tear apart the mayor and she dies.
Dude. Remind me, I have a point on that scene to talk about in spoilers. But yes, your suggestion just then added some drama to the film. It added some stakes. It added something. You know
this
what I'm
movie
saying?
should have segued into any other movie. I wish Matthew Broderick at one point just did the producers. I wish like he would just like start singing like because he can. But he's just what is he doing in this movie?
Look,
like,
I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like I have no clue because this from what I understand, this was a reputable project. This was something that
it had money behind it. Like Disney, it's 90s Disney, but still 90s Disney was still going through the renaissance in animation. Like why? Like speaking of the other side characters that you brought up before, why are the women so badly written in this? Like what's that? Is it fridging or something like that? Or not when they die? That's when they die at the start. What's it called? Is it the test? It's like the Bechdel test or something like that, when like women are solely written to support the male characters.
Yeah, like
I think it's called the Bechdel test. I think it's a thing in screenplays where you can see if female characters actually have any agency. The three male characters in this, all three of them, got nothing. Like absolutely nothing.
I will add on the top of that. Like I hear your point. And I agree with your point, but at the same time, it's even harder because whilst trying to give agency to the male characters that to begin with have no agency is like, it's a true feat of writing that like I just don't understand how it happened. Let alone with something that had all of these people sign on to do it, and this is what they spat out. But at the same time, we're saying this shit, dude, and I still kind of couldn't take my eyes off it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bizarre.
I understand you. Like, I hear you, because at the start, I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of get around this, especially with the opening scene. I'm like, yeah, I could do it. I guess I can sit through it. But I remember by the end, this movie only goes for an hour 10, but dear God, I was struggling by the end of it. I was looking at that mark. I was going, how much longer? How much longer? For an hour 10 movie to get that, I wanted to get the fuck out by the end.
As soon as we were going into the third act, I was like, all right, come on.
Like, and
unfortunately, a lot of those final scenes in the third act just... We get the point of them. We understand what's at stake. We're trying to move forward, but the film just keeps staying on the same thing. And there's one thing in particular that it just couldn't get past, like a particular scene, a particular sequence. And I want to talk about it in spoilers because I was just like, move on. Like,
it doesn't hold up for so many reasons, Brenton. It doesn't. No. It just doesn't. I think one of the most egregious things this movie does is is that bloody gadget mobile, especially like that racist 90s trope of a car. Like,
yeah, look, it's something else. I'll say that. It's and whilst
you
I
look at it and you're like, it looks cool. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. Again, there's so much potential with it. You look at it and you go, what a cool design, what a cool idea.
And they made it. They made the gadget.
Yeah. And the way it's executed is just, it's not that great. It has some moments. I will say it has some moments where you're like, oh, okay. And then it'll suddenly start spouting some inconsequential stuff that's not that funny, that's just kind of there to create noise. Is
He
what
just
I'd
sounds
say.
like 90s Chris Rock. Like, and it's like if Chris Rock was reading a script written by like the most white writer on the planet,
Totally.
thinking what a black man would say, and it's like, and it's horrible. It's horrible because he's like, "What's up, homies? What are you doing in this car? Let's go for a whack drive. I'm the one that's driving." Also, he's weirdly better. He always breaks the fourth wall for whatever reason.
Yeah, There's just no consistency.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like there's silly movies and then there's this silly. Like it's so silly. There's not a single ounce of consequence in this movie. I don't know who the screenwriter is, but like in every conceivable way, it just has no narrative and it fails. And for you and I who appreciate good writing, and you know what? The animated series is good. They had good source material to base this shit off. It's an adaptation, Brenton, and they still fucked it up.
Hey, it's possible. It's more often than not, I feel like, because coming from we're living in a day and age where there's an adaptation of anything
Every
coming
bloody
out at
second
any
there's
point.
a new one. Oh, Brenton, it just came out at me just then. I had a bloody another adaptation fly across the room. Quickly, get the fly net. There goes the adaptation. Ready? All right, I got it. Oh no,
fantastic.
Brenton, it's another Cats movie.
Oh gosh, and it came out early.
Oh no!
I don't know what.
Wait.
I don't know why we're saying "oh no" to Cats though. The Cats film directed by Tom Hooper coming out at the end of the year, because I'm gonna go see that in cinema. Like I'm gonna be the biggest. Like I'm gonna like
drag me
seriously,
with you,
dude.
I know it.
No, I want to go see it with you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, you're gonna literally drag me into the cinema. I'm gonna go nope, and we're gonna sit there because there's nothing he's gonna do. He's not gonna suddenly inject it with some story. It's gonna be the same shit as before. So like,
Nathan, I'm with you, but there's a slither of something that it could come out and be this masterpiece. I doubt it completely. I think, but could you like the people that are signed again? It's kind of like an Inspector Gadget. The people that are involved here, and it's just like, who knows? Who knows?
Does know, Brenton? Who does know?
Well, I know what I'm going to give this. What score
Yeah,
I'm going to give this film.
what do you think, Brenton? Does this feel? I'm embarrassed we've put this in our canon, but I genuinely, before we watched this movie, Brenton, thought it could have a chance of holding up. It could be good. And
what did you think? You're on a roll here. You continue.
No. Oh, what do you think, mate? You think I'm going to bloody kick this thing into the yay? Like, no.
Okay.
We both got the shovels out, Brenton. We're both looking into the hole, and we've got the corpse
Yeah.
of Go Go Gadget next to us. What are we gonna? It's like that scene where he's in the trash. It's like we're standing over the body. Do we wake him up, or do we pile more rubbish on top of him?
Well, Nathan, I have the answer, and I'm gonna have a bit of a tiny spiel here. What I'm gonna say is that what I have fond memories of this movie. We've established that, and watching this again, it's kind of what I really wanted it to be was a film that was so bad that it was good. I wanted it to be one of those.
And it almost flirts with it. It almost gets there.
It almost is. But at the same time, there comes a point where something clicks within you and you're just done. You don't want it to continue. I was never done with Rupert Everett, I will say that. That never got old.
No.
But aside from that, everything else surrounding that, I was just, I was ready for bed, so to speak. So, yeah, look, go, you're next to me, next to your grave.
Would you put this on a Thursday night for kids? I feel like kids have better. Like, there's better shit to give kids.
There is better, but knowing my memories of this film and enjoying the gadgets especially and enjoying this concept, I enjoyed it as a kid. Maybe I'd put on the TV series. I don't know.
Saw it like only as children a few years after it came out. Like I think the kids would look at it today and see the CGI and be like, "This is horse shit."
Sure. Like I hear where you're coming from, but again, like maybe not because kids are kids, and they do know the difference. I think, but I think at the same time,
that still means they deserve better, though.
No, they do. But my point is that like there's something in this that as a kid I think sparks some sense of imagination of that's a cool concept of like look at all these gadgets, look at all these things, and that's very exciting and it sparks imagination and creativity, I guess. So that's cool and it's worth watching, I guess, the kids in sense of that. But
they even have like a surrogate character, don't they, Brenton, with bloody Penny, don't they?
Oh, exactly. But she's
like
probably
the flagship of like, oh, this is who you could be. You too could be helpful, you know?
There was I'll talk about that in spoilers. Okay. So yeah, I've got the corpse next to me, and it doesn't have a heart, unfortunately. It's not the Tin Man. It's going straight into the grave, and I'm starting to shovel dirt on top. Nathan, are you joining me?
I'm joining you, mate. Let's bury this corpse.
Alrighty. Well, all right. Now that that's done, all
right, piling that dirt on top, mate. While we're packing the body in this dirt, can you give me some spoilers?
Spoilers! Nothing but spoilers. Alrighty, dude. Let's get into it. So let's talk about Penny, because we just brought up that was the most recent thing.
You know what I hate about Penny as well? It's played by the chick. You haven't seen Eurotrip, have you?
No.
I go on about Eurotrip. I bloody love Eurotrip. I've talked about Eurotrip to death. She plays the main girl in Eurotrip who you see, like, be very sexual.
Right.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you see her in, like, her early 20s in that movie, played by the same actress, years on, and she's an adult, and she gets very promiscuous in Europe, and there's drugs and sex, all that kind of stuff.
Which she's allowed to do, like, but it's affecting
but
your...
seeing her as a kid, Brenton, it bloody unsettles me. I'm like,
Okay.
no. What are you doing out of
coming from.
Europe and as a child? It's like...
I will say there was a point in this movie that I thought that Penny was the straight man, that she was the most normal character, but then there was a scene when it hard cut to her in the Gadget Mobile with All-Star blaring in the background.
Oh yeah, g'day
and
Shrek
she was dancing like an absolute imbecile. And I thought to myself, she's as crazy as the rest of them, but she's like a psychopath. She can kind of blend in. You know what I mean? Like,
do you reckon there's a chance that he actually did die in that car explosion? Which, by the way, he should have fucking died in that car explosion. No one survives that, if you look at it. But do you reckon there's a chance that he did die, and in his last little moment before the flame engulfs him, this whole movie was one kind of crazy trip of what he wished had happened? You know?
I mean, there's a possibility. I don't think the screenwriter was competent enough to execute
at
that.
The end, you know, he bloody saves the town, and then it flashes back to him being blown up by the guy in the car, and we realize it was all a trip, and then he's like, but hey, you know, I'm still a bloody good security guard. Then I guess that'll do. I reckon I would have been a little bit happy with this movie if it did that, but it didn't, Brenton. It was just stupid the whole way through.
He's not a good... Inspector Gadget is an ignorant idiot. He's fool.
So dumb, especially with that fucking carjacking scene. It's like, you idiot! The bloody thieves. They're trying to break into this car, and he rocks up in the bloody car, and Inspector Gadget's like, "Hey, people!" And they're in prison. They're in prison like uniform, and they're like trying to steal a car. Inspector Gadget's like, "Oh, did you forget your keys or whatever?" And like, it's like, what are you doing?
He doesn't have one competent act throughout the film. Like, he doesn't do anything.
And there's no redeeming part of it either.
No, exactly. So everything he literally does in this movie. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that. He does do one thing.
What does he
competent
do?
film. The one thing he does is in that helicopter scene when for some reason the skid of the helicopter has gone under his jacket and it's scooped him up. And he gets the pen.
Yeah,
and he ejects the pen like into the helicopter and destroys the panel or something, like, and causes
that's
the
right.
That's the one thing he does, and he takes the advice, and he goes into like that Zen mode, and he takes the advice of our I think it's an Indian friend.
Oh god.
The sage, mate.
Oh,
Let's talk about that. That was like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Oh my god. Well, should we get straight to the stills of the movie then, if you want to talk about that?
I mean, we can. We can skip to that quickly, yeah.
Yeah, because we're going to talk about the Indian. So Brent and I, when we watch these movies, we like to take screenshots of funny moments that we think definitely stills the movie. And there's a scene in this movie where, like, he's gone a little bit off the hooks. Inspector Gadget isn't really used to his gadgets. So the scientist is like, you know what? Let's sit you down. Let's take you to a bloody guru. So they rock up and they meet a racist stereotype who's like, okay, you gotta bloody meditate and calm down. I see these two little Zen balls in front of me. You got to grab the balls. And if you're over the age of 10, you can see the joke coming a mile away of what's going to happen. And so Inspector Gadget's, okay, so a little fucking like Mickey Mouse hand pops out of his hat and he starts to out of his bloody arm and he starts reaching across. And instead of grabbing the Zen balls, he actually grabs the guru's testicles and he tugs at the nuts. and the man's face opens wide and exclaim. But for some reason, as he's screaming in pain, the editors of this movie have added CGI eyeballs onto him.
They've done like they've either done that or they've done like a kind of like a really bad fish eye kind of like effect on his eyeballs so that they've like blown them up to like inhuman size. And it's just awful. Not only that though, but they actually added a sound effect as well in the scene and they raised his voice by like probably like 20 octaves.
Yeah, and he like Alvin and the Chipmunks it.
So like from then on in the film he's like and you're like, what the hell? And also in a kid's film, a joke about crushing someone's genitalia.
What's it doing there? Like,
Exactly. And then, so he literally gets taken by the ambulance and he's got ice on his, once his nuts, I guess. And,
goodness.
and off he goes.
They test these movies before it comes out. Did they think this tested well? Or was the whole film a train wreck? So they're like, fuck it, let's just keep it in.
But what's bad is, though, dude, is that even if this didn't test well and they needed to remove this scene, they could not remove it because the whole climax of the film relies upon the link to this scene so that he can eject the pen. And, like, so there was no way they could get rid of it.
Doesn't that say everything about the movie?
Exactly.
That the climax of this movie rests on a fucking bull joke.
Exactly. That is the point. That's the point. It's insane.
And it's just so stupid because this movie starts out promising, Brenton. The bloody opening scene where there's the runaway bus, I was so in. Like, did you love that scene?
Yeah, dude, it was like, because it has that ridiculous theatrical quality, like he catches the dog after he does everything, and it's all quite it's all edited pretty well, like for something that's a kids' movie.
It's edited fantastically.
Yeah, and you're just like,
it's like that one scene where all the budget went. And it's so ridiculous. I love that as the bus goes past, someone's holding out a help sign. It's like... Yeah. It's like, did you already have this on you before the bus like lost its way?
There's so many things in that scene that are just like little details that are just funny and stupid
it's so good
and nonsensical, but like in a fun, good way that you think that there's been some thought put into this and some consistency is the word.
Yeah, there's good writing in this. Like I love it when he's hitting on the scientist outside the lab and he's like, oh, you know, there's lovely star. You know, he says, oh, nice stars out tonight, and she's like, oh, which ones? Like, who the fuck says that in real life? The next time I'm at a bloody campfire and I'm going to say, like, oh, these are really nice. No, someone says, oh, these are really nice stars. I'll be like, oh, yeah, which ones?
Which cluster? I just take everything so logically.
It's like, yeah, man, bloody Sagittarius. That's what I bloody love. Look at the Aquarius constellation. Oh, I'll tell you what.
Oh, my God.
It's so painful. Although, one thing I do love about that scene is the bloody old lady security guard that's for some reason employed.
Okay, here we go. New segment of the show. Actors popping up in other films. Alright, let's talk about that old lady for a second who's that security guard. Do you recognize her from a film we've previously reviewed?
Oh my God, I don't, Brenton, but the fact that you're saying that makes me very excited.
Nathan, have you ever heard of a little film called Happy Gilmore?
Oh my God! No! What? How did I not look this up?
So that old lady plays Happy
God.
Gilmore's mother in the film Happy Gilmore, which we have already reviewed on Classic Movie Banter. Just for a fun fact. Now, there is also another Happy Gilmore cameo that occurs in this film.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about now. And Brenton, I lost my shit when I saw him at the end of the movie.
So... there's after credit scenes in Inspector Gadget, which is insane to me that they thought they put so many of them in this film. And one of them...
I like to think that these are the deleted scenes that they literally just chop down to like 10 seconds each and just chuck them in.
What's interesting is that like usually your after credit scenes are like fleshing out some things that you need to understand. And they thought they needed to flesh out the henchman for some reason. They thought he was the guy that needed some fleshing out. And he needed fleshing out, but like... by that point,
hated that henchman. I hated this whole bloody storyline.
I mean, but my point is like when your lead characters still need fleshing out and they're not getting screen time, it's a bit concerning. Anyway, they decided to give him a bit of fleshing out and show him after the events of this film, and they show him at a support group for henchmen, and saying that they won't like ass kiss anymore or whatever.
But who's sitting front and center in that fucking therapy group?
Is our great friend from Happy Gilmore who plays the ex co-employee of Happy Gilmore who he shot prior to the film's events with a nail gun and it hit him in the head, and who then becomes like a close supporter of Happy Gilmore throughout the film. And
it's Jaws. They got Jaws for this movie.
Yeah, dude.
And he rocks up with the fucking silver teeth.
Dude,
it's Jaws.
I know. It's insane.
So that raises questions then. Does that mean this is in Bond continuity? Like in the Bond universe, for some reason, there's also Inspector Gadget, since that is Jaws?
Well, this is the thing that I was thinking about. Like, I thought that there's a possible crossover between James
here we
Bond, like Daniel Craig, and Matthew Broderick, like taking down.
Imagine like James Bond's going off against Rami Malek in 2020, and then bloody like Matthew Broderick rocks up like
he
back,
choppers
bitches.
in. He choppers in and like lands down, and he sprays Rami with like toothpaste or something, and then
Rami Malek is like, I have an Oscar. What am I doing here? Like,
speaking of Matthew Broderick, we have to talk about, since we're still in spoilers, I guess, like in the context of the where we are in the show, but we have to talk about the other character that Matthew Broderick plays in this film.
Oh my goodness. This is so stupid.
Nathan,
why is this in the movie?
This is genuinely terrifying. They gave
horrifying. I was more scared from this fucking robot Matthew Broderick than I've been in any of the horror films that we've reviewed. Exorcist, Silence of the Lambs, all of it. This is the scariest.
This is it, man. This is like... And I remember being, like, disturbed by it, like, unsettled by it as a child, but watching it again, I was just like... Who approved that? Who said action and then cut and then, like...
I don't think that's a perfect way of, like, encapsulating the movie. Like, who approved this? Like, everything.
who rapped Matthew Broderick, like, on Inspector Gadget when, like, that was not a performance that was, like anywhere near the mark.
Him. They like he's got like these weird wide pupils and these like the mask, the Jim Carrey mask, like his teeth.
Yeah,
they put those in Matthew Broderick, and like he's just and for some reason he's got a spider inside of him that serves a purpose later on in the movie. But he's got like a fucking spider inside of him, and like. And he just runs about and he like and he decides to destroy the entire town. There's one shot where it's like literally like apocalypse. Like he's like destroyed the entire city. And like he just goes apeshit for no reason.
Oh, it's like trying to like evoke Jurassic Park, like this whole bit when he's coming forward as the and it's
no. It's trying to evoke Godzilla because there's one Japanese bloke who's running away from the robot.
Totally.
And he's like, this is why I left Tokyo.
And I'm sorry, I didn't actually find that funny. I was just like,
it's
that is
racist
just
for starters.
It's just like, what? The other reason I want to bring up Matthew Broderick in that part as well is because that was the scene I was like really done. That fight scene between the two gadgets just goes on for too long. Like they're fighting like in the limo and in the gadget mobile, and then that takes them onto the bridge where they spend like, I swear to God, it's about 10 to 15 minutes of screen time. Like fighting this horrible fight that's not interesting.
And he finally, at the end of it, he finally uses his bloody helicopter hat. And I kept, as soon as he pulled out, I'm like, why did you not use this earlier?
I know.
Like the amount of situations his bloody helicopter hat could have solved. It's like, it's so stupid. And then when they're bloody falling off the building at the end, and he says umbrella, and it fucking pops up out of his head as he's catching the scientists as they're falling. That umbrella should not have broken their fall, Brenton.
Hey, sometimes logic just goes out the door.
Speaking of logic out the door, one thing I did love about the lack of logic in this movie is that when we go to Claw's office, like, and we go to his, and we see his desk, and it has his net worth in like the biggest fucking font, like you're on Wall Street, and his desk is like the size of like a fucking like canteen table, and it's just got his net worth just like bleeping up in front of him. Dude, it's so great. Good.
Dude, that's great. Like, Rupert Everett's my favorite part of this film. Because it's so
great.
It's so
But that's the thing, like, when he
ridiculous.
was in the helicopter at the end, that's what I was talking about before when I said he goes crazy. Like, he's just screaming wild shit
Oh
when
my
he's
God.
at the end.
But it is hilarious and kind of great at the same time. Like,
It's incredible. I love that also when Claw has that scene where he's choosing the different hands, and for some reason the scientist has made a chopstick hand.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
Why would you not just have a regular hand and then pick up chopsticks? It's
because
like,
then you could not have that gag, Nathan. And
because if he's trying to blend in, like if he's done with the chopsticks, he has to change hands in front of someone, which means he gives up the game.
Wait. What would be funny was if he then spent the day, because he couldn't change his hand because he wanted to blend in, with just like chopsticks like constantly attached to his hand.
He's just using it just all throughout the day. Be like, oh, why are you still holding chopsticks? He's like, oh, this is how I prefer to hold my pen. Like, he's just, it's so stupid. Like, even his plan is very reminiscent of bloody Jeff Bridges in the first Iron Man. Where he's trying to build his own robot version, and he's like, it takes the worst out of everything, doesn't it?
But also, like, that was kind of the plan, but then he revealed that he was trying to, like, basically make a monopoly on, like, war, and, like, he was going to be a warmonger or something.
It's so vague. It's just generic villain bullshit, isn't it?
It doesn't make any sense, though. Like, his speech where he, like, tells Gadget his motivation. His motivation, one, is illogical, and I wasn't actually sure what it was, which, again, great writing. But also, like, again, it just comes back to this paper-thin plot thing that we keep talking about.
It's horrible. And one thing I hate about it as well with the story is that it's so cheesy. Like I said before, what's that film we reviewed ages back that I said was too cheesy? Whatever that one was. It's even more cheesier than that. This is the most cheesy film I think I have ever seen before. It's more cheesier. It's got more cheese than a bloody cheese factory, mate. Like,
Nathan, what type of cheese is it though? Just quickly.
Oh, I wish it was bloody Gruyere, but I feel like this is like the shitty plastic cheese you get at Coles or Woolies for like 20 cents.
Damn. That was brutal, but necessary. Yeah.
Yeah, the plastic cheese. That I can't believe it's not cheese. Like, oh god, Can we segue to a new segment? I wanna talk about, or not new, it's a different segment. I want to talk about if you think this movie is worth the reboot, Brenton. Done well with this premise, do you think this is worth a reboot in 2019?
No.
Really?
No, I don't.
Really?
I don't have a desire to watch another Inspector Gadget. Like, to be frank.
Because it could, like, with the superhero movie craze that we're in right now, it could stand alongside.
Mate, I don't need something else to add on to it. Like maybe it would go all right, but and maybe if it was like
if Marvel got the rights to Inspector Gadget and bloody Kevin Feige came down,
it would have to be like a different distributor, a different production company, someone that actually had some care with it for it to be any remotely chance of being interesting.
What about a dark, gritty reboot of it?
No, I don't want that at all. I'd like, this is the thing.
Do you want to see him try and do a dark, gritty reboot?
No.
He's like, Go Go Gadget Blade, and he like just cuts himself. He's like,
Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
Go Go Gadget alcohol. What if it was like Leaving Las Vegas, but it was revealed that Nicolas Cage used to be Inspector Gadget? And we find out that's the trauma. And he's just like at the bar, and he's like, oh, Go Go Gadget cigarettes, and he just like whips out some Camels, and he's like, oh, it's too hard.
It's like time to go home, and then he just goes, Go Go Gadget chopper, and then he just like fucking goes,
oh,
like
Go Go Gadget prostitute. Like, it's just,
oh man, dude. Like,
look, do you know anything about the sequel? By the way, have you
I've never seen the sequel to this. No, never.
You've never seen the sequel.
I know that there's a female Gadget. I'm pretty sure. Like, there's a
female updated model.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh, that's another thing I fucking hated in this movie. When like they were saying when he was like he ran out of his bloody chip, and they're like, oh, maybe he doesn't need the chip because he's got heart. I literally like gagged. I was like, ugh, when I heard that line.
I'd like to just talk about one more thing in spoilers before we move on. It's a very quick thing, but I got to talk about the other robot alter ego that's in this film for like a few minutes, and that is the version of, is it Barbara? I'm pretty sure the scientist is called.
Oh my god, I forgot about her. Jesus.
Yeah, because your mind was like dealing with the trauma of watching her on screen and had to like delete that character from your memory. She exists for like a bit of a plot point of just like of the real version of that character realizing that the villain is the villain, and then she just jumps off the building.
That character does not need to exist, and survives, by the way, her fall.
And then we have to revisit her in the post-credit shit. Like, it's just ridiculous. God, I'm getting more annoyed at this movie the more we're talking about it.
The more we talk about this movie, the more we hate it. Like, let's how did they make this, Brenton?
Oh, Nathan, let's get into this because there's some interesting stuff here. I think, anyway.
Look, do you want to know why it's so short, Brenton?
I'd love to know.
Because after a test screening, the film was cut down to 78 minutes from the original 110-minute version.
God.
So originally this thing was just under 2 hours, and that's why I said earlier, I postulate that these deleted scenes, these like 30 minutes of deleted scenes, they sprinkled into the credits. I reckon like bloody the talking dog, Penny with the watch, all that kind of shit. I reckon that was all deleted from the movie, which would have made it even more incoherent. Like, it's amazing that it was even worse in the test screenings.
I mean, yeah, this was the best version. I mean, I've got something else I wanted to talk about, which was the casting of Claw.
Oh, yeah, I got a whole bloody thing on casting, mate, so you bloody launched this rocket.
Mate, do you know that Tim motherfucking Curry was considered for the role of Claw? Like, don't get me wrong, Rupert Everett, as this film stands, the best part of this film. Can you imagine Tim Curry as Claw?
Tim Curry, I don't know how that would have happened. Like, there's a lot of interesting casting decisions like that were in development of this movie. Because originally, so Renton, this project had the highest of highs. You know, Martin Scorsese was considered to direct, and at one point, Steven Spielberg, a fan of the '80s cartoon, was considered being the film's executive producer, but he was too busy on set at Private Ryan to do it.